जी अच्छा
आज क्लासेस नहीं है तो इसीलिए
अच्छा फुल डे नो क्लास
फुल डे हाफ डे इसीलिए ज़्यादा लोग
Okay, so we have so many people today, so let's start. Anything you find on the first page of the Hindu? Use your minds and tell me anything important you think for exam. Huh? Related to agriculture. Is it important? Is agriculture important? Yes, very important. Right. So they have this scheme. There was one scheme which was already announced when this budget was presented in the parliament. Okay, so in the budget this scheme was already announced and now government is working on that particular scheme. The name of this scheme is Pradhan Mantri Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. Now this is going to be an important scheme for the government. One of the major schemes we can say, because government is putting substantial amount of money on this scheme. How much money you see? 24,000 crore rupees every year for next 6 years. Right? From the number you can understand they are putting lot of money on this scheme. And this is very interesting scheme. Here they have merged so many schemes which were already present. So total how many? 36 schemes from different organs of the government. They are merging them. What happened? Just give me 1 second. Yes. So total 36 schemes they are merging. Now see, what is the logic behind merging this scheme and what they are exactly targeting? Their plan is to target 100 districts throughout India. The plan is those 100 districts which are very backward in terms of agriculture. And this idea came into picture because earlier from Niti Aayog we had one program called as Aspirational Districts program. So Niti Aayog came with this idea of aspirational district program. What did they mean by this aspirational district? Is they found out there are some districts in India which are very backward. Development is taking place throughout India, but some areas are not part of development. They have remained backward. Right? So they planned, let's do one thing. We will focus on these districts specially. We'll put more efforts on the development of these important districts. Most of these districts were even part of the areas which were affected by Naxalism. So Naxalism or problems occur, many social problems start where there is less development. The area where there is more development, you will see less crime, less social issues. Okay, in cities like Hyderabad, you will not find Naxalism. In cities like Mumbai also, you will not find Naxalism as such. Where you will find in the Gadchiroli area of Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Bastar area, those are such regions where we don't see much development. So development matters. And here what Niti Aayog said, let's do one thing, we will specially focus on those districts which have remained backward. So that was Aspirational Districts program brought in 2018, and they focused on 5 dimensions specifically: health, nutrition, education, agriculture and water resource, financial inclusion, skill development and basic infrastructure. This is the major part where government usually works and we expect government to work. Right? So this they introduced, they tried to implement and they found good results out of it. Okay, Aspirational Districts program is one of the most important programs from the government right now we can say. Now on the same lines, now this was for all these different sectors. On the same lines, now government is thinking about, let's focus only on agriculture. So now they are trying to identify 100 districts which are not doing good with respect to agriculture. So what they are trying to find out? The areas where productivity of the agriculture is very low, cropping intensity is very low, credit disbursement is very low. Now what do we mean by this? Low productivity. What is low productivity?
That means less yield.
Yes, less yield we can say. Means whatever production is taking place, considering the size of the land, and considering the resources we are putting in, whatever output we get, the amount of production of crops that we get, that we call as yield, right? So if that is less in some areas, why it could be less? Reason could be anything. So let's say there is no irrigation facility, there is no water supply. If there is no water supply, there is no, let's say the farmers in that particular region, they don't have enough money to put in some fertilizers. To put fertilizers, they need some money, they have to buy fertilizers, right? They don't have money, they don't have water, they don't have resources, because of which this might happen. Or maybe this is a rain-fed area. This is the area where we see drought-like conditions. Naturally, the water level is less over here. So in any such region, you might find low productivity in agriculture. That is possible. Low cropping intensity. Now when we say low cropping intensity, it means how many crops are you getting throughout the year from the same land. See, sometimes if you see, let's say there is a land of 1 acre, from that maybe in a year you're getting only one crop. That is one thing. Sometimes some people, what they do is they go for multiple cropping. Few months some crop, after few months some other crop, likewise. So intensity, when we say cropping intensity, we are talking about that number. Now here again, same reasons could lead to low cropping intensity. The farmer does not have money to put in all those inputs, he doesn't have water supply, all those things, again same problems repeat, and cropping intensity will be less. And low credit disbursement. Credit disbursement, credit means loan, and here we are talking about institutional loan, the loans that you can get from institutions. We are not talking about loans that you get from your friends or someone who is very rich in your area. We are talking about loans that you get from the banks, the institutions. So there are some areas or some districts where this credit disbursement, loan disbursement is very low. Very less number of farmers are actually given loan by the banks. Are you getting this point? So such 100 districts they are going to find out throughout the country. And they said from every state and from every union territory, at least one district will definitely be there. Okay, obviously the states where more such districts will be there, so their numbers will be more, the number of districts will be more over there. But at least one from each state or each UT will certainly be there. Yes? So is it a good scheme? It's a good scheme. It's not a new scheme as such. Rather, we see the problem is there are so many schemes launched by government. Every one or the other day we get new scheme. The problem is implementation. We're not implementing it on the ground. So here they're focusing on they have just named it as something new, but already existing schemes they have merged together, and now focusing on all these schemes, they are trying to implement it in these districts. Good? Okay. So please remember this name, PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. Okay, this will remain important for exam. Okay. Next article from your editorial page. A tectonic shift in thinking to build seismic resilience. Now when we use this term seismic, what do we mean by this? Measurement of? Yeah, but what? It is about what? When we say seismic. So it's about earthquake. It's about earthquake. When we say seismic, we are talking about earthquake. Now, this article specifically talks about India's vulnerability towards seismic events or earthquakes. That which parts of India, how much they are vulnerable towards earthquake. Means there is possibility of so many earthquakes in India. Because of earthquake, there can be damage to public property. Like let's say there is an earthquake in a particular area, that too of a good scale. See, there is a scale called as Richter scale, right? 0 to 10. And Richter scale is very interesting. If there is, let's say, Richter 1 scale is there. So we are using this Richter scale. Let's say there is Richter 1 magnitude and Richter 2 magnitude. Okay, this is a major earthquake. Likewise, we can reach to, let's say, Richter 10 magnitude. Now, when you are going from Richter 1 to Richter 2, it is not just one number has increased. It is actually 10 times larger earthquake. Richter 2 to Richter 3 will be 10 times larger than the Richter 2. So you can understand when we are increasing the number, how we are going to see the effect of that earthquake. Now, as far as India is concerned, if you see India's map, and if we look at India's map through this seismic zone, means which part of India can be affected by earthquake more. So see this, there are total 5 zones actually, but zone 1, which is the safest zone where you might not see any earthquake as such, we don't see any such region in India. So we are taking only zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5. Zone 5 is going to be the extreme one, right? These are those regions where the possibility of earthquake is very high. Okay, that too of higher Richter scale. And likewise, zone 2 will be the least one. Now look at the map and you will get a good idea by looking at the map. The red region, this part, entire northeast, some part of Jammu Kashmir, some part of this, what is this? Uttarakhand, Himachal, and this is some part of this Gujarat. These are the regions which are part of this zone 5. And let's say even if there is earthquake in this region, that is going to affect many other parts. Even if you see earthquake over here of, let's say, 5 magnitude, 6 magnitude, that is going to even affect Delhi. That is going to affect even Delhi. You must have seen those images sometimes. There is earthquake in Nepal or Afghanistan and we see tremors in Delhi. Such is the effect of earthquake, right? So you can see these are major areas. Zone 4, this entire region is part of zone 4. Okay, so major part of North India. Then zone 3, this one, now maybe we are in relatively safer area, zone 2. So this is the seismic map. We call it Cysmic Map of India. Okay, now what this article is specifically talking about. They're talking about India, and India is very vulnerable. Now, one of the reasons why India is so vulnerable for earthquakes, especially that northern part of India. The reason being, although this is something you're going to study in geography, where you will study why these earthquakes actually take place. One of the reason is, you see, let's say this is the Eurasian part, and let's say this is our India, or let's say we'll use another color. Okay, let's assume this is India, this is the major part of Asia and Europe, which we call as Eurasia. Now earlier, this was not the one region as such. Earlier, the scenario was different. Earlier, India or Indian land, which you say, was somewhere over here. It started moving in this direction. It started moving, and then there was a collision between this Eurasian plate, we call it a plate, and this part of India, or major part of India we can say. This Indian plate is colliding with this Eurasian plate, and because of this collision, what is happening? We see formation of Himalayas, right? Himalayas formed because of this collision. Now when such things happen, there will be events of earthquake for sure. When continents, they are going to merge, or there will be submergence. So whenever such things happen, one continent and other continent, one is moving in this direction, it is pushing this side, right? In this case, there will be earthquakes. Okay, this is not something going to happen in few days. This is going to happen in years. Maybe we will not be able to observe this thing. Even right now, it is said that the height of Himalayas is increasing. What is the height? Any idea, the number? As far as I know, it is 8848 meters, somewhat 8.8 kilometers. It is being said that right now maybe it has become 8850. Maybe in few years we will say it is going to increase. Why it is increasing? Because this plate is further pushing. It is pushing, so it is rising. So the point is, it is for sure in this region we are going to see earthquake. Now, some experts even say in last few years, let's say 300, 400 years, we have not seen any major earthquake in Himalayan region. That means they are saying this gap is there, this seismic gap is there. Someday, suddenly you will see one big earthquake in the Himalayan region. That will be a big earthquake. It is not like normal earthquake of 4 Richter, 5 Richter, no. Because it's been a long time, it has not happened. So that energy is stored over there. So when this energy will be released, it is going to be very much damaging. Okay, so they talk about it and call it Great Himalayan Earthquake. Whenever it will take place, they talk about it that it will be having magnitude more than 8 Richter scale. More than 8 Richter scale. If this earthquakes really happens, more than 8, you can imagine if this is happening in Himalayas, just assume entire Nepal will be destroyed, Bhutan will be destroyed, our northern part will be destroyed substantially, northeast, all these parts. You can't imagine the scale of damage that will take place. At least 300 million people will be directly affected if this event takes place. Okay? Are you getting this point? Now because of this, because we have our major city that is Delhi, which is quite near to this region, and we get this news of earthquake tremors in Delhi many a times. Now this article specifically talks about cities where the damage could be very high because of earthquake. And there's a reason behind that. In cities, what is happening, the population is continuously increasing. Because the population is increasing, what people are doing, they are constructing houses, right? And they are constructing houses without caring much about earthquake as such. Their buildings are not made in such a fashion that if there is earthquake, the building might survive. We don't know whether that building will survive or not. Most probably it will not survive. Now you can ensure when you're building, let's say you're constructing a building, you can ensure with some kind of design, some kind of materials, you can ensure that even if there is a major earthquake, the building can survive. That is possible. Technologically that is possible, but for that you have to put in some efforts, you have to put in some money. For that, government regulation has to be there. Government has to check every time when you're constructing. It is government's responsibility whether you are following government's guidelines or not. But that is something which is not happening in India. This is what the article is specifically talking about. So we have something called Cysmic Code. We have Bureau of Indian Standards who come up with some code. In that code, actually there is guideline. Whenever you are constructing any building, what all you should use, what you should not do, everything is very clear-cut told in this guideline. Okay. Now this is from the government side which has been brought in, but the enforcement, the implementation is very poor. So in cities like Delhi, continuously construction is going on and nobody is actually following these building codes. So the point is, when there will be earthquake, there will be more damage than you can normally expect, because the buildings are going to crash. And see, population is high. So many buildings are there, so the number of people who are going to die because of those earthquakes, that will also be very high. Okay, so this is one thing they have focused on. The data even says, if you look at Delhi, those buildings, 80% of the buildings built before 2000, they are of the quality which will get destroyed completely with any kind of earthquake. That's the data. Okay, then they say the people are not aware. There is lack of retrofitting. Now retrofitting means something like this, if you have ever seen when the construction is taking place. Just imagine you're doing normal construction, or you're putting such things made of, let's say, steel or any particular metal. Now this will provide some strength to this material. This is called retrofitting. If you do this retrofitting, most probably because of earthquake, this wall or this building will not be affected much, right? But we don't see any kind of retrofitting, anything as such, especially in those buildings like these high towers of 30-story, 40-story buildings. We at least expect such high towers. They have got money. That's why they are coming up with such a large construction. At least they should have such safety measures. Even they don't have that. Okay, that is one problem. And we do not have any real-time seismic monitoring system to check where there will be earthquake, what will happen, or real time means you can check what is happening at the present time. Such a system is not available in India right now for throughout pan-India level. These are the issues which are highlighted by this particular article. Okay? Any doubt? No? Okay. Rest about the earthquake you're going to read in detail. Whenever you study geography, then you will read in detail. There will be other scale also, like Mercalli scale is there, how that earthquake is actually happening, what is its relation with the volcanoes, all those things, everything you're going to study in geography. Fine? Now, moving ahead, next article. This is about the sexual violence. Yes? We had discussed little bit about sexual violence earlier. Now this article specifically talks about it. Now in recent times we are observing many cases of sexual violence taking place at educational institutes and workplaces. So many cases from Delhi, Bengal, Karnataka, Odisha. So students are going to schools, colleges, or they are working in particular offices, in corporates, and there we see sexual harassment or sexual violence taking place. Now this article specifically talks about it, that when you talk about schools, colleges, offices, we normally consider these places as very safe kind of places. And when these safe places also become site of assault or also become place where women are not safe, then that's a very concerning situation. This is the article specifically talking about. Now, look at one thing. In India, we have something called Vishakha Guidelines given by Supreme Court. See, earlier what happened, for sexual harassment at workplace, there was no law in India. There was no law. So, in one of the case, Supreme Court what tried to do, they provided some guidelines because there was no law. So when there is no law brought by Parliament, the court has the authority, they can bring in some kind of law in the form of these guidelines. So they gave this Vishakha Guidelines. Under the guidelines what they said, let's say there is an office, let's say there is a company. In that company, one person, a woman complains that someone has done something wrong to her. There is a case of sexual harassment. In that case, it is the responsibility of that company to make one committee which is called as ICC, Internal Complaints Committee. They have to immediately form one committee called as Internal Complaints Committee. And this committee is supposed to inquire this complete incident. Within 3 months, they have to complete all this inquiry and they have to resolve this issue as soon as possible. This is something Supreme Court said. Now see, there are some companies which are very small, there are some companies which are larger. Companies where more than 10 employees work. Companies where more than 10 employees are working, they are considered decent companies. Now, these companies can easily create such internal complaints committee. Okay. Now, there's one more rule in this. There should be a senior women employee who should lead this internal complaints committee. The chairman of this committee should be a woman employee. This is one more rule. Now, this was applicable for those companies which are having, or those workplaces where 10 or more people are working. Now there could be some offices where less than 10 people are there, very small companies there, or very new businesses there. They are not having that many resources to make those committees, go for that inquiry and all. They don't have that. In such case, court said it is the responsibility of the district administration. So at the district level, you will make one local complaints committee. So again, this task will come under district collectorate office. So at the district level, similar to this internal complaints committee, there will be local complaints committee. And again the same thing. In 3 months, you have to inquire and resolve all this issue. Are you getting this point? This was said by Supreme Court under Vishakha Guidelines, one case in which they said this thing, because there was no law in India. But when these guidelines were given, after that, Parliament thought we should bring a law. So, same things were brought in this law called as Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment Act 2013. In short, we call it as POSH Act. Okay? POSH. In short, we call it as POSH Act. Now, interesting thing is, this Internal Complaints Committee, this is supposed to be made for any such complaint. The harsh reality is, it doesn't happen this way. The way it is, it seems in books, in letter, in spirit, it is not in the same case. So I have personally seen many times in many offices, a girl complains, nothing happens. A girl made complaint against 3 different people and nothing happened as such. Management did not care about any such incident. So this is very common, wherein this implementation of this POSH Act will not be there. There won't be any action as such from the administration. This is one major problem. See the problem. Firstly, the girl was traumatized because of the incident that happened with her. And now she is asking for justice and nobody is caring about it. So it's like double trauma. Right? This is a major problem, which is highlighted in this particular article. Now there's one data by National Crimes Record Bureau. Look at this data, you will get to know how harsh the scenarios are. When it comes to sexual violence, in India specifically, they have given this data that whenever there is a sexual assault on any woman, in 30% of the cases, it is from their relatives or their husband. This is one major issue. In case of rape, 87% or approximately, let's say 85% cases of the total rape incidents that take place in India, those are carried out by someone whom they already know. It's not like any unknown person is coming into picture, someone whom you already know. So this is something you can utilize while writing answers also, and this is something which can show you how sensitive this issue is. Okay? So this act, you should know this particular act, you should know these Vishakha guidelines, you should know about this Internal Complaints Committee. Okay? Any doubt on this? No? Now as a solution, this article specifically says, first of all, do one thing, make these Internal Complaints Committees stronger. How you can make them stronger? Bring some independent body in it. There should be an independent body who should check whether these internal complaints committees are working properly or not. Right now, nobody is checking. Nobody is checking. Even if there is someone to check, it's the person from the same company. So the company is trying not to make this issue bigger, or they don't want anyone to know about this issue. If there is an independent body who is going to check, in that case, this committee will become relatively stronger. This is one thing. Second, sensitize the staff. And this is happening in many corporates. They come up with some modules, so they will have some training sessions for the employees. In that training, they will tell what is this POSH Act, what kind of actions by men will be considered under these POSH Acts, and what kind of action women can actually take. All this is told to them. This is sensitization training, which is happening in many corporate offices right now. Then institutional accountability. Those officials who are involved over there, the people involved in this Internal Complaints Committee or the officers in charge, because in the district level we talked about this Local Complaints Committee. There the officers are involved, so their accountability has to be checked. What did you do when you got this complaint? What action have you taken? That has to be checked. You can have fast-tracked courts. Some courts specially running for these cases, Fast track court, so you don't need to go to this normal judiciary wherein the case will start today and it will end after 20-25 years. So we want some parallel courts. Let's say for POCSO, which we have already discussed. For POCSO Act, we have special courts. So whenever a case is registered under POCSO, there will be a special court who will take care of it, and that's why the results are quite earlier, means it will not take long time as such. Within 6 months, 1 year, you will get results in these cases. Okay? Then gender sensitization done. Victim-centric approach. Somewhere you need to provide legal support to these women because they don't know about their rights sometimes. So they need legal support, they need psychological support, and they also need some financial support if needed. These are the things we can say as a way forward to this particular problem. Clear? Done. Now next is Prime Minister's visit to which country? Maldives. Is Maldives important country? If yes, then why? And if no, why? Simple, logical. Tourism. For us, people from India will go to Maldives. How will it benefit India? It will benefit Maldives, na? For pure tourism, you can say. For India, is it an important country or it is not that important? We should talk about Russia, China, America. Why we are talking about Maldives, such a small country? British were there in Africa also. Okay. So British rule was there on so many countries. So that won't be the right argument. Rather, it's a country in our neighborhood. Any country in our neighborhood matters. See, even if your friend is an MLA, but that MLA stays in Uttar Pradesh, is he useful for you? You might have some kind of fight today with your neighbor or someone very near to you. That time that MLA cannot come and help you. You need someone from your nearby vicinity to help you. Or someone might attack you, but that someone could be someone who is near to you. Your neighborhood matters more, especially from security perspective, from economy perspective, from every dimension you see. Your neighborhood matters more than anything. If your neighborhood is safe, you are also safe. If there is terrorism in Pakistan, that will affect India also. Right? If the conditions in Myanmar are not good, that will affect northeast part of India also. Similarly, this country, Maldives, even if very small, but it is part of India's neighborhood. Right? Neighborhood, that doesn't mean only land boundary should be there. It could be the marine boundary or boundary through oceans also. Just like Sri Lanka, we have Maldives. Right? So important country. Now, what is happening with this country is our relations with Maldives deteriorated to some extent in last few years since the time this person became the Lord of the King or whatever you call it. So this person came to power. His name is Muizu. He came to power, but to come to power, he had gone for one campaign which is called as India Out campaign. So when this election was going on in Maldives, he was arguing on one thing, that there are some Indian military personnels who are there in Maldives. So actually India had gifted some helicopters, some aircraft carriers to Maldives, and for the maintenance, operations, all these things, some Indian military personnels were sent over there and they were staying there. Now this is just official thing. Unofficially we can also understand that we want to keep a check on Maldives, what all activities are happening there, to do some spying also maybe, or let's say what Chinese are doing over there, everything we want to check. Now this person said that this is against the sovereignty of Maldives. We can't have other countries' military personnel in our country. So he started this campaign and people liked that campaign and he got elected. Somehow to get elected, people will do whatever they can. So he did that, he got into power, and then only the relations were not going good as such. right? Now, normally India doesn't think in short term. India will think about things in long term, and anyway, it's a neighbor. So this person might be in power for few years, but later on some other will come. So we are just showing some patience. We are trying to build relations with the entire country or people of Maldives, and not just one person as such or one administration as such. Now, this India Out campaign continued. India said that what we will do is, instead of these military personnels, what we will do is, we will send some civilians. We will replace these military personnels with some civilians. We agreed to this term. Okay. Now the relationship is not something very new, because it's a neighbor, we have continuous relationship with Maldives. So many a times, as you said, tourism part, their tourism depends a lot on India. When Muizu took such actions, and it's not just Muizu, the people who are part of his government, other ministers, they started talking about India in a very negative manner on social media. So there was a narrative that was being built against India, specifically the present government in India. And after that, there was a reaction from Indian side. Many people started saying that we'll not go to Maldives. And this, if Indians do not go to Maldives for tourism, that is going to affect Maldives' economy very badly. Very badly, because they depend on tourism sector a lot. They don't have a very large economy or very diverse economy as such. Tourism matters, and most of the Indians are going to Maldives, right? So that matters. So anyway, even Maldives would prefer to have decent relation with India, but somewhere this person was having some tilt towards China. Okay, so this kind of tensions in relationships take place whenever there is change in the government in our neighborhood. This happens. In Nepal also we saw, when government changed, the relationship was not that good as such. Similar things were happening over here. Okay. Now what is happening? Now our Prime Minister is going to Maldives, because Maldives is going to celebrate its Independence Day, 60th Independence Day. Right? So it's a good event. So they are saying PM Modi will also be there. And what all we are providing them? Look at this dimension. We are providing some kind of loan, something called as line of credit to Maldives. Earlier also we were providing. Line of credit means India will say, we will give you, let's say, just for the sake of example, 500 CR of line of credit. That means, let's say, Maldives wants to start any infrastructure project in their country. What they will do, they will come to Indian government, and already this line of credit we have already given to Maldives. That doesn't mean we have already given them some amount of money. No. When they want to start any new project, they will come to India. India will approve that plan, and then whatever materials, whatever raw materials or anything is needed for that project, they are going to buy from Indian companies. Okay. And to make the payment, that payment will be made from this fund. Again, this fund is something we are providing from India's side. So they will take money. Let's say right now 100 CR is needed to buy some inputs and all those materials. So that much money will be taken from this 500 crore, and that will be used. So government of Maldives will not get money. They will directly get the project. That project is getting funded. And this is a loan. This is a loan with very less interest. So with time, slowly, Maldives is going to pay back this loan to India. This is how the system of line of credit works. Clear? Yes? So this we have provided. Then we provide this currency swap also. Currency swap agreement. We go for currency swap agreement with many countries. Let's say sometimes what happens, currency swap means we can exchange our currency. Let's take the example of COVID-19. So at the time of COVID-19, what happened? There was lockdown throughout the world. People were not traveling from one country to other country. There were no flights also many a times. If people do not travel, how the country like Maldives will run? They're working on, their economy is more or less dependent on tourism. So people are not going to Maldives. So every country, they are going for some export, some import. When you're importing, you will have to give some money, right? Now you have some payments to make every year. Now, suddenly, if your economy stopped because of this COVID-19, let's say tourism sector affected, and that's why you're not getting much amount of money, much amount of dollar as such in the country. So they're affected, but they have to make the payments. In such situation, when they do not have enough number of dollars with them, at that time, India can help them with currency swap. India will provide them with some amount of dollars, and they will give Maldivian rupiah to India. This is currency exchange or currency swap. In the times of crisis, in the times of financial crisis, such agreements will become very, very helpful. Okay? So India is providing these things also. And again, we are saying we will also explore if UPI based digital infrastructure can be built in Maldives also. So we are again promoting our UPI system, just like in other countries. Here also we are doing that. Are you getting the point? So these are all the things that are happening. Overall, the point is, anyway, when it comes to Indian Ocean region, China is trying to dominate in this region. And we are very much concerned about our security when it comes to Indian Ocean. We are just trying to make and build and maintain good relationship with our neighborhood. Okay? Even if there is change in the government, even if there is any kind of change, still we are trying to bring or build good relations. Yes? Any doubt on this? No? Then the last news item, this one is related to this particular thing called as Javelin missiles. Okay, such missiles become important for your prelims. Just know the basic part. It's a missile system, man-portable, fire and forget ATGM. ATGM means anti-tank guided missile. So simply what happens, man-portable means you can take it anywhere. Any one soldier or two soldiers can carry it very easily. You don't need big infrastructure as such. And when you fire a missile from this, you can fire and forget. That simply means wherever the target is, this is going to go there automatically. You don't need to guide it. That means you don't need a remote control, and you don't need to guide it every time that go this side, attack here. You don't need to do anything. Automatically it will work. That's what we call as fire and forget anti-tank guided missile. Okay? And this one is made by United States of America. There's this company called Lockheed Martin. Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, they make it. Now what India is trying to do, India and US are in negotiation that we will co-produce it. Okay, together we will co-produce this Javelin missile. So this is in talk. That's it. Yes, any doubt? No doubts? So that's it for today. Please ask if you have any doubts, or else we are done.